Welcome to Personal Finance Deep Dives, where we help you make your money work for you. Today, we're jumping into a topic that can feel, well, famously confusing, and it's often sold with a heavy dose of guilt. We're talking about life insurance. But don't worry, we're going to cut right through all that noise and give you the clarity you need.
You know, everything really boils down to this one question. What would happen if you weren't around tomorrow? See, life insurance isn't just some dusty financial product. It's a promise. It's a way to make sure that the people you love most can have the space to grieve without getting hit by a financial catastrophe. It's about peace of mind.
So on paper, it's a simple contract. You pay, and it pays out when you die. But what does that actually mean for a real family? Well, think about John, a guy in his 30s with a couple of kids and a mortgage. When he passed away unexpectedly, that contract meant his wife, Emily, didn't lose their home. It meant she could pay the bills, keep food on the table, and make sure their kids' futures were secure. That's turning ink on paper into real-world protection.
And that story is exactly why this stuff is so important. So today, we're going to talk about who really needs this protection. We'll dive headfirst into the big debate between the two main types of policies, and then we'll help you figure out how to make the right choice for you.
All right, first up, protecting your people. Let's get into why this is really seen as a cornerstone of any solid financial plan.
So who actually needs this? Let me be clear. This is not just for the wealthy. If anyone, a child, a spouse, even a business partner, relies on your income to get by, you should be paying attention. If you've got a mortgage, you need it. If you co-sign student loans for your kids, you need to think about it. And please, never forget the stay-at-home parent. The economic value they provide is immense, and it would be incredibly expensive to replace.
Okay, so the mission is simple. Replace your income and cover your debts if you're gone. Easy enough, right? But the second you decide you need a policy, you're going to hit a huge fork in the road. And this right here is where all the confusion and, frankly, all the heated arguments in the financial world really begin.
You basically got two main paths, term life and permanent life. Here's the best way to think about it. Term is like renting insurance. It's simple, it's affordable, and it covers you for a specific period of time. Permanent, on the other hand, is like buying sold a house. It's meant to last your whole life, it's way more expensive, and it comes with this complicated built-in investment account that you're kind of forced to deal with.
All right, so let's walk down that first path. The case for term life. We're going to break down why this simple, affordable option is hands down the right answer for the vast majority of people. And this is really the most important distinction to get right. In fact, that brings us to takeaway number one. The big choice in life insurance boils down to simple, temporary term life versus complex, lifelong, permanent life. Term life is just beautifully simple. You buy coverage for a set term, say 20 or 30 years, which is designed to match the period when your financial responsibilities are at their peak. You know, while the mortgage is big and the kids are still at home. And its number one appeal, it is unbelievably cheap for the amount of protection you get.
And when I say affordable, what does that really look like? Well, for a healthy 30-year-old looking for a $500,000 policy, the monthly cost is typically right in this range. Yeah, that's it. We are literally talking about less than a few trips to a coffee shop. Now, what if that same person wanted that same $500,000 benefit, but with a permanent policy instead? You might want to brace yourself. The monthly cost explodes to this. We've just gone from the price of a couple of lattes to a full-blown car payment. That huge price gap is the whole reason for that classic advice you hear: buy cheap term insurance and just invest the difference yourself.
The incredible difference in cost really says it all. The philosophy for most people is just so simple. Buy the affordable term policy and then take that huge chunk of money you saved every month and invest it yourself. And that brings us to takeaway number two. Term life is the affordable, straightforward choice for protecting your family during your highest earning years. Now let's look at that other much more complicated path. So permanent life, which you'll often hear called whole life, is aggressively sold for a big reason. The commissions for selling these policies are massive. The main sales pitch is that it bundles your insurance with a kind of savings account called cash value. They'll almost always pitch this to you as some sophisticated tool for building wealth.
But let's look under the hood. What kind of investment are you actually getting here? Well, the average annual return on that cash value is often a measly 1.5%. I mean, come on. You can get better than that in a high-yield savings account without any of the ridiculous fees. As one Reddit user perfectly put it after analyzing a policy he was offered, he wouldn't even break even, get his own money back for the first 12 years.
This really gets to the heart of the matter. While permanent life can have some very specific uses for the ultra-wealthy doing complicated estate planning, for most of us, it's a high-commission product that is sold, not bought. And that brings us to takeaway number 3. Permanent life is a niche financial tool for very specific high-net-worth situations, and it is not a good investment for the average person. So, with that in mind, let's talk about actually making your choice.
So how do you decide? It's really not about which one is better in a vacuum. It's about matching the right tool to your specific job. Just look at this chart. Ask yourself, is my need temporary or is it lifelong? Do I want something simple and cheap or something complex and expensive? The answers to those questions are going to point you right down the correct path.
Let me make this even more crystal clear. You should probably be getting a term life policy if you need affordable coverage, if you want to protect your family for a specific window of time, like until the mortgage is paid off and the kids are adults, and if you'd rather handle your own investments for, much better returns. Basically, if you are like the 99% of people who need life insurance.
On the flip side, a permanent policy might, and I mean might, be a conversation worth having only if you have a 7- or 8-figure net worth, you have already maxed out every single other retirement and investment account out there, and you need it for a very specific reason, like funding a trust for a special needs child for their entire life.
Okay, before we do our final recap, let's bust one last common myth. A lot of people think that basic life insurance policy they get from their job is enough. And look, it's a great perk, but it's usually a pretty small amount. And this is the key part, it's typically not portable. If you leave that job, you lose that insurance, which perfectly illustrates our final point. And that brings us to takeaway number 4. Choosing the right policy means matching the tool to your specific financial situation and not relying solely on workplace benefits. All right, let's do a quick run-through. Takeaway number 1, the big choice is between simple term and complex permanent. Takeaway number 2, for most of us, cheap term life is the clear winner. Takeaway number 3, permanent life is a niche tool for the super rich, not a good investment. And takeaway number 4, match the policy to your life and don't just rely on the default plan from work.
Ultimately, this whole decision is one of the most selfless things you can do with your money. It isn't for you, it's for them. You can think of your financial plan as a story that you're writing for your family's future. The only question left is, what will that next chapter be? That's all for now, folks. Please like, share, and subscribe for more like this.